A very good morning to you and thank you for staying with us here on ANN7. We're bringing you ongoing coverage of the first ever TNA Conversation. Today's one has been held in Bloemfontein, where the government is actually giving account of their achievements from the year 2009 to 2017, and where also the community members will be able to ask the accounting officers what they have done and ask them questions relating to specific challenges. Well, I am joined in studio here this morning by ANN7 Special Projects Editor Cecilia Russell and Mr. Themba Dladla, Program Manager of Priority Areas on Service Delivery. Good morning to you and thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning,
Now, Mr. Dladla, let me just start off with you. Just talk to us about your portfolio relating to these priority districts and what exactly has happened.
Thank you very much, Kirapetsi. The 27 priority districts are districts that have been identified from the medium-term strategic framework of government, which is a framework that looks into the 5-year period from 2014 to 2019. Basically, these are municipalities that are having challenges with access to basic services in particular, and with challenges in terms of capacity, and also challenges in terms of reliability of infrastructure services. So the 27 Priority District Program basically looks into how these municipalities could be supported in order to improve the service delivery. So that's where the main focus is. And of course, as COGTA, we have initiated different programs as a way of responding to that. And at the core, it is a PMO that has been established at COGTA, which is based in MISA, and it's working with these municipalities in really getting into the root cause of service delivery backlogs and looking into different strategies that could be employed in order to address those.
Now, Mr. Dladla, we're actually looking at Free State Province this morning, focusing on some of their exhibitions, their achievements, what they've done since 2009 to date. And just before the short break, there was a panel discussing education. Now, what would you say in terms of what the Free State has done? Do you think that they've done very well for themselves as a province? You know, looking at the different municipalities actually addressing the issue of delivering the service of education to the citizens of their province?
I think it is a very good initiative. I would like just to borrow the words from the Premier, where he indicated that investing in education is the future. And one of the areas that we have identified as needing improvement on is skills improvement, especially in the technical and engineering area. And I think that the province is really definitely doing well in that regard, because we really need to build this skills base that is focused on technical as well as broadly on engineering support. And I must commend the Premier for taking such an initiative, because we really need to up our game and compete even internationally and bring innovative ideas and innovative means of dealing with various challenges that we are facing. Because most of the backlogs that we have, you'll find that these are kind of backlogs that have been difficult to deal with, and innovation becomes therefore key, and different strategies that can be employed in dealing with these challenges become key. And therefore investing in skills development is really a best way of dealing with this.
Now, Cecilia, what do you have to say about the amount of money that the Free State Province actually invested in its own pupils? There was one student there who's a top achiever in the medical faculty who mentioned that his parents have not paid a cent for him from primary school, grade 1, all the way through to where he is. He's now going to be graduating as a doctor in a few years' time. He's actually got the opportunity to study overseas. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was so inspirational. You know, he said, don't let your background set you back, which I think is an important message for everybody, that everybody that's, you know, has been given the right opportunities can achieve. But I think that is the... If the province is identifying people, because you identify those young, top achievers young, if they are ensuring that their schools, at ordinary schools, that was the other thing. This is not fancy schools, expensive schools, ordinary schools. They're identifying those potential top achievers young, and they are looking after them and ensuring that they move through the school system, despite the fact that their family backgrounds, well, their families may be poor, that, you know, they may be brought up by, for example, a granny or something, that that they are encouraged, supported right the way through from school to high school, then I think that's something that's really great. That's really a fantastic achievement.
Well, in the words of Premier Ace Magashule, education is key, right? It is the power, and as it was mentioned by one of the panelists, it is a weapon that can be used to fight poverty effectively. We're going to cross back to my colleague Cindy Mabe, who is live in Bloemfontein. She's got a panelist, actually she's got a panel of guests, and we'll be having questions from the floor in this segment.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with Africa News Network First Fast Live over here in the Free State, the judicial capital of South Africa, the sixth largest city in our country. And we're here for not inaugural, but our conversation indeed to highlight the service delivery excellence in the Free State, as proudly brought by the province. We've been speaking to amazing young people who have had opportunities internationally, as brought by the bursary scheme that the province has. And now we're taking questions on the floor. I'll encourage you to bring them thick and fast. We'll start at table number 17. Nkosinjani Spielman, as jy asseblief jou vraag kan vra, ongabuza at table number 17. And as it no Spielman is and as in no, Nguni, you need to double up on these things. Nkosinjani Spielman. And in table number 29 is Manko Buffel. Manko Buffel, you'll be next. We'll have the roving mic there as well. And Reverend Dire will be our next speaker. If I can just have a show of where the roving mic is, may I ask you to please arise as you pose your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, yes, sir.
It's working.
We can hear
thank
you.
You very much. My name is Nkosinjani Spielman, the mayor of a very strategic municipality in Machabeng. My question is on Premier. First of all, let me comment. In 2009, Ndate Frank Chicano was asked on a TV said, who is the person that is doing the good work? He said only one person that is able to implement the Freedom Charter is the Premier of Free State. Now, I'm coming here today, the year of Oliver Tambo, to applaud the Premier for the good work that they have done for the people of the Free State and South Africa in general. But my question is, Premier, you have sent a battalion, millions of students abroad, including black and white. But how these students, when they come back, are going to be absorbed by the province and also by the municipalities? The second question, Premier, the Free State has been doing good work on education. And then my worry is the neighboring provinces who are not doing good since the inception of democracy, particularly the Eastern Cape and the Northern Free State, Northern Cape. How Free State can assist those provinces to improve on education? The last one. Premier, my understanding is that the ruling party took a decision and said we must focus on education. But when I was moving abroad, it's only Free State that sends students abroad. What is the problem, or what is the problem?
All right, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for that. In the interest of time, we are live. We'd like to give as many people an opportunity as possible. We'll go to Manko Buffel, as a brief. If you'll just keep it brief and to one question as well. That is table number 29.
Dumelang, and let me send my gratitude to the Free State Province, and in particular the Premier, by sending our students abroad for studying. Premier, that one you got it right, and you got it right, and we need to applaud you. But my question is this one. Premier, Makufe is a huge production. It's a property that is very, very huge. We cannot deny that one. And it has been in existence for over 20 years now. I am asking this question because I want to know what is it that can be done. This should be a cash cow by now. It should have taken us 5 years, 6 years at most. By the 10th year, Makufe should be a cash cow for the province. But also, I'm interested to see how Makufe is going to ensure and contribute towards the erection of permanent infrastructure that can be used for events throughout the years. For instance, why are we not having what we call a Makufe Dome instead of hiring a temporary structure, Kadi millions? Perhaps we need to look at how Makufe is going to generate income and stop being a liability to the province. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Buffel. And table number 14, Reverend Dire. So if you may keep your question brief.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and the panel, our panel, and the House. My point firstly will be based on the Tlasela, Operation Tlasela. It has been proved as the best model in addressing the imbalances of the past. And this has brought us to a point where this province became the best in delivering of houses, best quality houses, education, and we thank the MEC, whom we think this country can be very happy to be led by him in future in the education field. Job creation has been one of the best in this province. The student bursaries became one of the best, really, effort that was made by the leadership of Premier Magashule, which led even to the rural areas. Now, what I want to find out and to ask our leadership is that there have been so much attacks of these good things, Operation Tlasela, which has brought people to the best of their lives. There will be no peace in this country, Premier, and your panel there, until this powerhouse of the white monopoly capital, which opposes the right jobs and the good things that have been done to change the people's life, the DA is being brought to book and answer for its own atrocities that it has caused and blocking the progress and the delivery for the betterment of our people.
Bua, Reverend Dire, Bua. And they say the church doesn't have place in politics. Thank you so much, Mr. Premier.
Well, let me start with Mr. Spielman, the mayor of... well, it's not only Free State. You remember when, and that's why we have the statue of the Commandant Fidel Castro. When Nelson Mandela came out of prison and became the president, the first embassy for South Africa open in the world was Cuba. And South Africa then sent students to Cuba. There is no province without medical students in Cuba. As I talk of now, there are 3,000 students all over South Africa in Cuba. When I went to Russia, Mpumalanga also sent students to Russia. Northern Cape, Honorable Mayor Spielman did very well last year because they interacted with the Department of Education in our province. They checked what is it that we are doing, and if you look at their results last year, they did very well. The MEC education is interacting with the entire country, and because of the passion, because what drives our students is that passion. If the leader is passionate about what he's doing, and that's what the MEC is actually doing. And we have a lot of students in Kuberg and nuclear energy, also in Russia studying nuclear energy. And the municipalities, we have produced engineers, we have produced plumbers, we have produced accountants. They are qualified, they can't stay home. And we are saying to our municipality, maybe I should issue an instruction, employ, and I've said by the end of this month, every municipality must ensure that it has engineers, chemical engineers, who can clean their water, who can actually do a lot of things in terms of auditing their books, and we have them. They are there. They exist. IT students, employ them, because that's what we are doing as government, because these are rare skills. So the municipalities, please do. You are all here. Let's implement and make sure that we move ahead as a province. Makufe Dome, that's what we are planning. We want to have Makufe Dome in our province, in Mangaung. Mangaung is going to do very well in terms of the plans. Maybe we don't communicate with public and the communities to tell them what is it that we are intending to do by the year 2020. But the dome is coming.
All right, and the other question was around whether Operation Hlasela is, or what distinguishes it from radical economic transformation?
Mr. Mahwe will respond to it.
MEC?
No. Operation Hlasela was a concept that was developed in the Free State. And what it meant is that when we tackle an issue such as a priority of education, all departments must find space to support that. So radical economic transformation, it's a program where we have to ensure that the indigenous people of this country do not feel marginalized in their own country in terms of the economy. I think that there's a lot of people in this country who thought that once we've got what is called political freedom, we'll stop there. But if you look at the revolution throughout, there's always been two sides of the revolution. One side has been political freedom, the right to vote, and the right to vote whoever you want to be voted for. But also, even more fundamental, the radical change in terms of the economy. So that when these young people come back, they don't only work for somebody, but they also themselves can start their own businesses in an environment that is very, very supportive. So the issue of radical economic transformation remains key, especially in Operation Hlasela and supporting education. Because we can't just produce them and they don't have anywhere else to go, and they join the ranks of the unemployed. We must take over. The majority of people who are black in this country must take over the economy. It must be that when you come to South Africa and you come to a consulting company, you must see that the majority people that own the company must actually be South Africans, and black South Africans in particular.
Mr. Premier, there was also the question around how do you mitigate the pushback or the backlash in terms of those that do not want to advance the transformation imperative?
Well, we have no choice. We have to share the wealth of the country. I can assure you, no one poses a question when there is no procurement. Ever since I came into government in 1994, the lifts in the Free State, whether at hospitals, different government buildings we own, has been white. No tender from 1994. And what does procurement say? 3 years. Who is the owner of this lift? Who's maintaining them? Why is there no procurement when it comes to this? Property. All government buildings where we were leasing and renting, all white from 1990s until 2009. And in 2009, when we came in, we said we have to change the patterns of our economy. Inclusive, but accommodate black business. And if you come today, you will see that we have moved to almost 60%. And that's why even in our townships, the black people who are owning malls, here in Bloemfontein, in Welkom, we are there leasing their property. Property is now owned by a lot of black people. Petrol stations, black people, 29 of them in the Free State, are owners of petrol stations. But they don't own the land. And we have said to municipalities, give them the land so that they can become these owners. By the end of this month, before the end of this month, we have instructed the Department of the State, game farmers in the Free State, they are there. I'm sure they are 17 or 19. They must be given game, donate, so that black people can also rise up. Consulting engineers, contractors, we must do it unapologetically because we are not excluding. We are not excluding white people. And we are saying to white companies, and I'm happy some of the white companies in this province, you'll see them in our towns and townships. Why do we buy toilet paper, which the young people can establish their businesses? Why do we buy it from ShopRite when we can buy it from the township shops, from the cooperatives, the linen of hospitals, the uniform of hospitals? The cooperatives are here. And our instruction is that all departments must make sure that the linen, the uniform, the security uniform, the protective clothing, we must actually source them from black companies in this province, because they are there in Botshabelo, they are there in Velkom, they are there in Kwakwa, so that a black man occupies space in terms, and we share in the wealth of the country. And there shall be peace once we do that. So there is no negotiation about it. MEC knows about it, HODs knows, municipal managers and mayors know. Within the law, this is how we must transform South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. Another question coming from table number 27, Tapelo Molebadzi, and I'll do the honors in asking that, aren't we running the risk of a brain drain if we're having our students represented internationally and not necessarily coming home, so to speak, to plow back? MEC?
Well, the contracts that we have with all the students, remember they have signed contracts. It's not just free for all. The contracts are very, very clear that they have to come back to South Africa. We will have first option as government to retain them in our institutions. But in a case where they actually have studied aeronautic engineering and we don't have a space for that, then we can say, no, go to SAA and so on and so on and so on. So we are in full control in terms of their future. So they will come back. You must relax. The students are coming back. And they have themselves have said that once you are outside South Africa, you develop the love for your country. You start realizing that there's no better place than South Africa. In fact, most of them say always, we want to go back home to change the conditions there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And Reggie Mutsi, table number 17, if you'll just be brief, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Reggie Mutsi from Free State Black Business Chamber. And my question goes to Mr. Mbongo. In fact, it's a comment that I would want you to comment on. Freiberg, where you are studying in Germany, is a town that has been dependent on mining historically in the past. And it has been transformed since the decline of the mines into commercial and others, and has kept employment intact in that area. Now, we would want to look at bringing into the Machabeng area the same situation. There's a lot of water underground that needs to be dealt with, that poses a threat. There's a lot of unemployment because of the declining of mines, and therefore the expectation is that that model should come back home to address those challenges. Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that. And then, like I said before, the course that we're studying is about rehabilitation of the mines. So if there's money to rehabilitate the land, it means the society in close proximity to those mines will have an opportunity to work in those mines, and then, like us as well, there are other chemists as well here in the Free State. You can actually rehabilitate their land, and then in that way, you're creating job opportunities for the locals as well. So that is what is happening in Germany now, because they are the leading country in terms of rehabilitation. So after they have mined, now they're opening job opportunities by reclaiming the land. So there was mines before, now they are closed, and then after post-mining, there's still jobs via reclamation.
All right, we're going to take brief closing comments just to give us a sense, especially in this political climate that we find ourselves in as young people, what best international practices there are in transforming the economy, dealing with issues of inequality and transformation as well. Meneer Cronje, wat het jy geleer in Russia? These days, I get the feeling he speaks more Russian than Afrikaans, eh?
Yes, these days I do speak more English, more Russian than I speak my home language, but that's just life. So.
Yeah, so what are the best international practices in transforming the unique economy that South Africa has?
I think to improve the economy, like we are going to countries all over the world, we are seeing how their economies are working, we are absorbing the way they do things, and then we can come back and use the best of what they have done in their economies and implement it in our own to improve our own economies as they have done theirs over hundreds of years in their history.
Yeah, and your view, Mr. Kabiti, in closing?
Okay, in that sense, Cuba, like they use it's different to South Africa because here in South Africa we kind of use capitalism more than socialism. So Cubans, they use socialism whereby everyone is equal to everyone. So with that mentality, we can come with that mentality and be equal because, for example, in this sense, there are doctors who study abroad, but they don't want to work in their prospective disadvantaged communities. And then the Cubans, they taught us to have a good doctor and patient relationship. So with that experience, we will come back home and serve our community as they've been waiting for us. And another thing, Cubans, they taught us how to be patriotic, whereby you become loyal to your community. And then we know that our communities are waiting for us. We can't just abandon them and choose Canada or Australia. So with this information, I am promising the province that we're coming back, we're coming to serve the community.
Hallelujah. Well done. I'd like to thank our panelists for joining us and you for being a fantastic audience. We also have a fourth-year law student who will lead us to break by rendering a poem, and this is Spamandla Kanye. Please give our panelists a round of applause, and thank you at home for watching as Spamandla leads us to break. Please come join us here on stage. Wahamba kancane waqothoza Spamandla. Just try at the bottom there, underneath. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you should just stick to law, ne, Spaman? Stick to your day job.
Testing. In the name of Steve Biko, in the name of Lillian Goyi, Walter Sisulu, Gavin Mpegi, listen to this. Marinated truth manipulated and scattered into the brain. When the body of my thoughts was raped of its dignity, in a heat of steam, I lost my esteem. In today's darkness, the future brightness feels dim. Introspective, lost generation chants, revolution locked behind doors, locked behind bars in silence. For someone said it is gold, and before we knew it, it was stolen. In a generation to generation, a degeneration, a degradation syndrome. It's an overdose, greed, the ruler so locked behind doors, fear to tell our story. As ghetto corners increase its predatory behavior, we seek the survivor. Praying in different ways, not to be prey, in a way embracing pain. It is money pain that turned the eye blind, so behind we became mad scientists and experimented on ourselves. Now there is proof in reality. We strengthen poverty, drugs and alcohol remain our daily bread as I remain colorblind as the rainbow of freedom pass me by. We believe that we live in a rainbow nation country, whereas the rainbow excluded the color black. It is funny. I am black. I'll stay on my black lane. Peace.
Is it for me?